Well, Disney's apparently making a Blade movie. Raise your hand if you think this is going to go well. Before I get into the mess that has become the Blade production over the last week or so, I guess we should probably go back in history and explain exactly how long these clowns have been at it. In 2019, you guys remember 2019? Back before the government basically destroyed the theater industry and sent the entertainment industry off the cliff known as streaming, we had San Diego Comic-Con 2019. Now, Marvel did their big Hall H presentation, and near the end, they got the crowd riled up when Mahershala Ali appeared, and they announced that they are going to do a Blade movie. Fast forward a few months, and the world went to hell. We won't discuss why, because Mama Susan doesn't like that. Anyway, last year they hired Bassam Tariq. Now, dude had, 2 documentaries, 4 short films, and 1, I guess we can call it a major film, but the thing grossed a grand total of $127,015. Not exactly what you would think of as somebody that Disney and Marvel would put in charge of a movie that is likely to have a budget north of $100 million. Well, apparently for the last year, he has been in pre-production, and they were getting ready to start filming next month. Well, 27 September comes along, and Jeff Snyder of Los Angeles Magazine tweets out, quote, "I'm told that the current Blade script is roughly 90 pages and features exactly 2 lackluster action sequences," unquote. He added Mahershala Ali is frustrated with the production process. Snyder later clarified his source said underwhelming, not lackluster. The Marvel and Disney stans apparently were trying to bully him into admitting it was his opinion, but Snyder stood by his sources. The same day, the wildly inexperienced director bolted a month before shooting was to start. Marvel tried to put lipstick on that pig by saying he would be staying on with an executive producer credit, but everybody who heard the news was pretty sure this meant Blade was going to be pushed back. Now, along with that, we get news that extensive rewrites not only have been taking place, but that they have brought in Bo DeMaio, a writer-producer on the X-Men 97 reboot and Moon Knight. And rumor is they are going to have him pretty much rewrite the entire film. The original writer was fairly inexperienced, and her major credit was being the writer on an episode of HBO's Watchmen. Most of the other things that I saw in her filmography, I'd never heard of. Apparently, the continued pushbacks on production were what forced Bassam Tariq to leave, and they are going to be searching frantically to find a new director. And all of this made me wonder if the announcement that I talked about the other day of Hugh Jackman returning as Wolverine in the upcoming Deadpool 3 movie was supposed to be some kind of smokescreen to hide what was about to come out with Blade. And news broke today, or make that yesterday, that they have officially pushed back production until spring of 2023. Remember, this thing's supposed to be opening on November 3rd, 2023. If they're not going to be starting filming until 6 or 8 months before that, what's the likelihood they're going to make that date? And if they don't make that date and they have to push Blade back, is it interconnected enough with other films that are on the schedule for Marvel and Disney that the whole schedule is going to be screwed up? Needless to say, Disney have a problem, and I was never sure that this was going to be a great movie to begin with, because you have Blade, a character who has already been in movies. Wesley Snipes had a trilogy back in the late 90s, early aughts, and everybody sort of is going to be expecting to see something like that. It doesn't have to be exactly that, and it's not going to be, because Disney didn't have anything to do with that. But because Disney is involved this time, it's going to be PG-13, not R. Blade, as I was saying with Wolverine and Deadpool, is one of those characters in the Marvel Universe you really don't want to do PG-13. I know Disney loves PG-13 and lower because that means they can get bigger audiences. But some things you just cannot do properly at the PG-13 rating. And this always had like Morbius vibes to me. I know Morbius came out a while after this was announced, but nothing about this production ever made me think that it was going to be anything other than another disaster. And Marvel and Disney sort of need something to come over the finish line as a hit. Yeah, they claim Thor Love and Thunder and Multiverse of Madness were hits, but Thor barely cleared the break-even point, and the Multiverse of Madness was supposed to break $1 billion, and it didn't. So they really needed this one to come off as part of the Phase 5 MCU, because Phase 4 was just a disaster for them. So I guess we will see who they wind up picking as a director. Marvel these days has a habit of picking the wrong director for the wrong film. Chloe Zhao is a perfect example. They picked her, I think, thinking that she would get them into China, the Chinese market, when China was already sort of hinting that they were done with letting Hollywood films into the Chinese market. But they obviously didn't do their homework, because not only was she on the naughty list of the CCP, Chinese Communist Party, but she also did not direct films like Marvel movies. And it showed when the Eternals came out. I have a feeling they're going to wind up doing the same thing with this new director on Blade as they have been over at Lucasfilm, and that they have been throughout Phase 4 with one or two exceptions. And that is, they're going to go out, they're going to get somebody young and hot who the critics love, who has done some avant-garde piece of filmmaking that they think will get them some credit with critics, but whose style and experience do not match the magnitude of the budget they will be handing him or her. They also like these young directors who they can basically tell what to do, and the directors are so grateful to have that opportunity with a big budget that they just go ahead and do what they're told. And that doesn't make good films. But I guess we will see. Disney doesn't have a good track record lately, not even on the Disney kiddie production side of things, with flops like Pinocchio floating around out there now. So it's not looking good for Blade. We'll see. That's all I've got for you on this one. I'll be back possibly later this week before Rings of Power drops. I'm not sure what that will be, but it might be in the next day or two. If you like what I do here, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, comment down below. Make sure the bell notification icons hit so you know when I upload. And I will leave the links to a few articles that I read on this subject, and along with my social media and Patreon. See you in the next video. Tschüss.